Hello and welcome to the LinguaPop Pop Culture Podcast. I am Gavin. You may recognise me from the Spanish podcast episode, and this is Marika.
Hi.
So, herzlich willkommen bei uns.
Yes.
And today we are, surprise, surprise, talking about German. So, let's get cracking. The Jugendwort des Jahres. The Youth Word of the Year just came out in the last month or so. And this year's was Das Crazy. According to Marika, at least, it's an older word. It's very old word,
It is
isn't
an
it?
old word, yes.
Does anyone still use it?
No, I don't think so. Except older people that want to be cool now. Nobody's using it.
So cringe. So
Yes.
crazy. And that's just the start, because youth language, it almost evolves so quickly. As soon as it's designated the word of the year, it becomes uncool.
Becomes old, yes.
Becomes old, and even by the time they've caught up with it, I think it really demonstrates how young people's identity is really demonstrated by language. And in linguistics, I've noticed, especially in our classes, that when we outgroup, to use the technical term, adopts it, it becomes not really a youth word, to be honest. So, I mean, I don't know if you've seen this recent like TikTok trend. I mean, I'm not on TikTok, but I see it all the time, of trying to get older people. It seems to have happened first of all in English, and now it's gone across the world. I've seen it in Spanish, I've seen it in Norwegian, I've seen it in Swedish, Finnish, German as well, of getting older people to introduce places and give a guided tour using youth slang and just enjoying the mismatch. I hope by that I am not giving main character energy slay, but I wonder where a sort of youth language sometimes comes from, and it's just how it seems to come about so quickly.
Yeah. So the youth language, or as we would say it in German, the Jugendsprache, it refers to a linguistic variety. That just means a particular way of speaking that is used mainly by young people like us within their peer groups. So, for example, in their friend groups or on social media, as you just mentioned. And it comes, or it emerges from a thought or motivation of symbolizing your identity, your social identity. So that just means that young people use their language to mark their belonging, in this case to their social group, but also to distance themselves from the older generation. And that's probably also why when adults try to adopt the language or try to make sense of it, like with the youth word of the year, but also with this TikTok trend, it feels very unnatural for us to use it, or for the younger generation to use it. So we can see that many things, also like the youth word of the year, come from different languages, mainly English, but also from other languages. And we will see that with Kiezdeutsch, a term that will be explained later too. And as we also saw it with the trend, it's heavily influenced by media and pop culture. So music, social media, TikTok, but also series, and we will also talk about that. So all in all, we can see that it is using a specific lexicon, so different vocabulary than the older generation would, but there are also syntactic changes. So there's often a simplification of the sentences. And it is important to say that because it means that youth language has its own rules and therefore can also show or reflect a social change and shows what is going on the media and in the culture. And it's not only slang, but it's a way of speaking. And we will also discuss this further at the end of the podcast. And after hearing maybe a little bit about these characteristics of youth language, you may assume that it's a dialect, so a variety that is more or less tied to a region. But I think in this case, it's important to note that it's not the case. It's just used by a certain social group. that is defined by the age. And in linguistics, you call that a sociolect. So it's tied to an identity rather than a region. And a good example for that, I think, is Kiezdeutsch. Is the part of German youth language, right?
Okay, first of all, I'm just going to say, as someone who learned German as a second language, any simplification of rules, I am so thankful for.
Yes.
But I can't use it in a speaking exam.
Oh, too bad.
So, I mean, you've mentioned about Kiezdeutsch, and I hear it comes from Turkish and uses a lot of words, yala, well, etc.
Yeah.
And Kiez itself comes from the neighborhood of Berlin. And I think in English, I mean, this word is about 20 years old now. So nobody says in the hood.
No, please don't say that.
So that also shows about how youth language changed. I mean, in the 1990s, it was all the thing about in the hood, rad, for totally radical.
Yeah.
And now people use it and you're like, oh my God, no.
Yes.
So, regardless, going back to Kiezdeutsch, I think many Gastarbeiter, to use the technical term, immigrant workers came over from, I think originally from Italy and then much later Turkey. And the mixing of German, and that's come, and it's sort of been reflected in some of the more slangy variants of Kiezdeutsch. And then even now, Kiezdeutsch is, there's all the debate of, oh my God, is it ruining the German language? But no, I hope you agree with me on this, is that it's just another type of German. Yeah. It's not no real threat to standard German that's going to be introduced in school and you're going to learn it over time, grow up with it. But even now, German sort of borrows a lot of words, and you see this in the previous Jugendwort
Des Jahres.
Des Jahres. So I think same came up a few years ago. Oh yeah, I mean in English we do that. Oh yeah, same. Just agree. Das stimmt.
Yeah.
Aura was last year's word of the year. Du hast einen sehr guten Aura.
Ja, eine sehr gute Aura.
Oh no.
You won't say that anymore too.
Thank goodness for that. And es klingt mir sehr goofy.
No, don't start with goofy.
That's crazy. Okay. So I have seen that, and I mean I have heard of this series that you might want to. I think you'll know a bit more about this than I do, but it's quite an interesting one.
It's actually a very good series.
Oh,
you have to watch it.
I keep meaning to watch it, but I never can find time.
So it's a very good series, and it's called Türkisch für Anfänger in German, and it's actually a very good example of the use of German youth language, and especially the use of Kiezdeutsch you just talked about in the German TV. And I think it was also the first series that used this Kiezdeutsch and youth language in a very authentic way, because other TV series tried to do it in an authentic way, but I think many of them failed. So it's a very popular German TV series, as I just said, and it tells the story of a blended German-Turkish family and their children, especially the teenage girl Lena and her stepbrother Cem, and how they navigate through these cultural and linguistic differences, because they quite early on recognize that they speak differently, and and now they start living together, and there's just this huge problem. How are we going to do this? And I think it really does a good job on reflecting Germany's multicultural society. by using like Kiezdeutsch and also the German youth language, because it really reflects the realistic speech of urban youth, especially in Berlin, because Kiezdeutsch is also coming from Berlin and the series is also set up in Berlin. And it also normalizes the use of a Kiezdeutsch and also says that it's an everyday part of German identity and that it's still very contemporary. And when it first appeared, it quickly became popular because it was very, very funny and also especially young people liked it. But it also sparked a big public debate about language. And because the show reflects on how people spoke at that time, with mixing German, Turkish, speaking Kiezdeutsch, and for many viewers, this was very realistic and was a good representation of the society. But still, many people criticized it also, and they argued that the show is promoting incorrect German, incorrect grammar, and that this would influence young viewers to stop speaking proper German. So I don't know if this is just a debate that is happening in Germany or also...
Not at all.
Not at all.
I mean, I've often said it's the same old doomongers who are like, oh my God, any new word, any new borrowing that comes into a language ruins it all.
Everybody's freaking out.
Everyone, over prescriptivists, to use the traditional term, freaking out. I don't like this new
Yes.
language. But most of the same words that we use in English come from other languages. Like even some more modern. I say modern, as in it feels like they've always been there, but hasn't. But they're still borrowed. Like the word for a commentator, a pundit, comes from India originally. And I was like, oh, we use it all the time. I just assumed it was always there. But these sort of language is prescriptivism versus descriptivism. That's the same with language has to be protected. I think I've heard it called a crumbling castle. Is the idea.
Interesting.
It's sort of like a satire with those sort of views like, oh, it's a crumbling castle that needs protection and needs to be kept upright. And then there's others who are descriptivists who are like, language changes all the time.
Yeah.
What use is keeping this crumbling castle together when it keeps getting redeveloped every 2 minutes?
Yeah. People keep acting surprised that language is changing, but
Yeah.
I mean, we know it for decades, like for the whole time. So I don't know why everybody's still surprised and trying to do something against it, even though everybody knows that it will keep changing, right?
Yeah, I think us as students, we're always going to have one view on this, and we're never really going to agree with the other.
Yeah.
But going back to that debate on Turkish Verengvinger, it's that same debate of the doommongers who think, oh, this is just too... No, we need to hear standard German all the time versus realistic descriptions. Not everybody speaks like it's 1852. And I think really plurilingualism, this idea that I keep coming back to every podcast about
Yes.
why are we trying to learn a perfect version of a language when what is perfection when something always changes? So I think that's the sort of real, if there is a debate, that's the debate.
Yeah.
And I see this all the time in every language. They all have these sorts of opposition to neologisms, new words, all lovely stuff, and someone's going to have something against it. But really, there's only one good answer, isn't there? Language just changes.
Yeah.
And that's what pluralism is, accepting that.
Yeah. Language is evolving all the time.
During my A-levels, we had this sort of stock line that we had to put in every essay, which was, language is in a constant state of flux. It's always changing.
And I also don't think that it's right to say that there is one right version of a language and you can speak only this one. I think as we see it with youth language, but also with other dialects or sociolects or language in general, everything is very, you can speak 2 languages at one time. You can speak youth language, but people won't forget to speak the standard variety too. So there is no such thing as deciding on one thing and not the other. I think you should just see it as a whole, right?
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty good place to end it. See it as a whole. With that, thanks for coming on, Marika.
Thank you.
That's it, and all we have time for today. So, the next episode of the LinguaPop Pop Culture Podcast,
Yes.
I'll get it right someday, is about Italian. Molto bene.
Yes. And I think we will even have an interview in the next episode, so it's going to be very interesting.
Well, for our listeners, that's good. That's one good reason to keep listening. Vielen Dank. Auf Wiedersehen.
Dankeschön.